investigation out this morning reports that the National Center for Medical Intelligence warned the military and...
This week, the story has moved to how long should we be doing the social distancing? Is it worth it?
The coronavirus pandemic is putting an end to the longest economic expansion in U.S. history.
We are going into a global recession.
And there'll be a lot of death, unfortunately.
No one could have predicted how the outcome can be for today. And everyone's views is different on this situation. So I decided to go to the two closest people I know, which are my roommates. I decided to interview them on information and their views of the COVID-19 spread.
My name's Sean Hamilton.
Lucero Nava.
So right now, COVID-19 in the USA, there is about 401,166 cases in the USA. And the deaths so far is 12,956, also in the US. Or globally, that's 1,452,378 cases. And that's 83,615 deaths. Before the stay-at-home order, when did you hear about the virus?
Before it really came to America, I heard about it quite a bit. I was planning on going abroad for spring break, and I booked my flight to Ireland probably mid-February. Up to the weeks coming to it, I was told that I have to cancel my trip, but it wasn't that severe yet. I would have been over there whenever they put the ban on traveling to other countries and everything. I probably would have been stuck there right now. I had to cancel my trip by recommendation from my parents and from my family over there. So I've been keeping in touch with it quite a bit up until that point.
I think it was towards the end of February, and it was only because I have an international management and marketing class, and we were talking about supply chain, so kind of how products flowed through, I guess, the supply chain, like demand, supply, and all that type of stuff. And the professor showed us an article from the FDA back in February, I think, and they were like, we're aware that all of this is happening in China, but we can assure everybody that it won't happen in the US and all this other stuff, which is clearly the opposite now, but it was like late February.
What do you thought about the measurements, the closing of schools, restaurants, and all these rules are stricken since then? What's your views on that?
I think personally it's doing the best that they can for the people as a whole. If we didn't shut anything down, if we didn't tell people to stay at home, if we didn't shut all these restaurants down where people sit 2 feet apart, it probably would have spread a lot worse than it is right now. It's large cities like New York, Detroit, very large cities like that right now that are getting the worst of it. And that's because a lot of them weren't following the stay 6 feet apart whenever it was a recommendation, and now they're required. I feel like that would have happened the same down here. If we didn't shut everything down, it would have been worse and worse, and we probably would be one of the largest hit states.
Currently right now, 17 states forcefully closes the educational system. But right now everything else is sort of recommended. As a student, a huge shift in education with the closing of schools. Does it work with your schedule, or do you find it doable?
So before all of this happened, I had 2 in-person classes and 2 online. So kind of half of my semester was already online. But now that we shifted over to full online, it's just a little difficult to balance my online classes with work because they take place during work, and one of my professors chose to do, I think it's called like synchronous classes, where they take place at the same time that the regular class took place. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, regardless of what I'm doing, where I'm at, or if I'm busy or not, I have to be on Zoom video. It's not impossible, but it's definitely more difficult.
Personally, I think it's doable. I've lucked out. This is my final semester, and I only have to take 12 hours. Up until this point, I've had to take about 15 to 18 hours a semester, and if it was one of those semesters, I think it would have been a lot harder than it is right now. Taking only 4 classes online, where one I was already taking online before the school went fully remote. It's been very doable, and that's also to do with my professors. A lot of them are trying to work with us instead of just shoving us online and not giving us any help. I know one of my professors alone is like, she'll respond to your email within an hour and try to help you in any way she can. And I think that's what's making it so smoothly, such a smooth transition.
So there's been a roaming question going around, and it's about, should schools stop education entirely because of this epidemic?
I know that a lot of students have voiced their concerns about it being like very difficult to focus on school when so much is going on around them. So I understand that, but I don't think it's correct to just close altogether, because then all of these students, whether they're college aged or elementary school kids, will be at home with nothing to do. I feel like, or at least for my school district back home, like I guess the K through 12 school district, they went out of their way to get technology for everybody that didn't have it. So there's not that excuse anymore, like, oh, well, my student doesn't have like a laptop or doesn't have Wi-Fi. They got like laptops and little Wi-Fi hotspots for everybody that didn't have it. And then every morning and every day at like noon or something, they send the school buses on their regular routes to deliver food. So it's like, if the school district is going out of their way to make it as comfortable as possible for everybody, I don't think there's a reason to shut down.
Each day people are getting affected. What steps have you considered to obtain necessary needs like food and water?
So I thought it was a good idea at first to try to go to Walmart as early as possible, because I figured like because they just restocked the night before, like everything's gonna be there, or like there won't be anything that like isn't in stock. So I went and I found most of the things that I was looking for except for hand sanitizer, which I fortunately acquired one from work. But when I was there, I saw a lot of people have like masks and gloves and stuff, and I didn't have any just because I don't own any, or like I don't have any. So maybe just rather than like taking care of myself, just being aware of like not being too close to other people, because that might make them uncomfortable, or not being so, I guess, just out everywhere because other people are taking the precautions necessary. So even though I can't take them just because I don't have the supplies, maybe be mindful.
Another statistic I want to let you read. Unemployment has increased from 1.4 million to 7.1 million within just March. Everyone in the workforce is getting affected, and the fear of not getting the fund during the shutdown. Has you have any experiences with that?
Luckily, personally, my job has worked very well with us to transition us remotely, so we can work remotely and still not have to worry as much about funding and missing that paycheck that we need in order to live here and like live in general. Same goes with my family at home. My mom's always worked remotely for the past couple of years, so this hasn't really affected her. It's pretty much the exact same life she's always been living, except going to the store once or twice less a week. On the other hand, my dad, his job was very hands-on, people-oriented, and working at a garden center. And with everything happening, they're an essential business, so he's lost out on that end. He also works in like farms and stuff, and with the recent weather, like he hasn't been able to work at all, so it just kind of like stacks up, and now he's out of like his garden job, and he doesn't have work until the weather clears up.
Do you have any final thoughts around COVID-19?
Personally, since I'm graduating, my only worry would be finding a job in this like economy and in this craziness. So I have my current job like as a student assistant or like as a student worker up until probably like June, maybe like mid-June, late June. I'm sure that they won't fire me knowing that I need the job and that I'm still working like my full hours. But after that, I'm kind of worried about how or where I'll apply for a job, because everybody, instead of being like hiring, is firing people. So if anything, I would have to apply like a Walmart or H-E-B or some of the places that are hiring, or I would have to wait until something that was more in my field came up. So that's kind of the scary part for me, and because of that, I feel like everybody should take the rules seriously and like stay at home, be safe, be clean, practice good hygiene and all that type of stuff. That way we can get through it, or at least have it calm down a bit faster than expected.
I think that, I hope it ends sooner than later. At some points I feel people are being a little bit too extreme and too cautionary with it. So yeah, I feel like some people are taking it from one extreme to another. Some people don't think it exists at all and they don't care, and other people think, I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't even like look at someone, I'm gonna get it. I think everyone needs to be cautious, but I don't think everyone needs to be so extreme that they won't do anything, that they won't like go for a walk outside. As long as you follow the CDC protocols, I think everyone will be fine. The more people think it doesn't exist, the faster it's going to spread.
Even though things ahead are unpredictable and things might get worse before they get better, but we're strong together when we do our part and know that we're not alone.